As the 2019 general elections draw near, political parties are strategizing, expectedly dotting the I's and crossing the necessary T's to ensure a good outing come 2019. With the campaign kickoff date set for November 18th, the issue of funding remains a critical factor for most political parties, as expenditures for the campaigns are estimated to gulp a large sum of money. Of course, this has got the attention of Nigerians. We will get to that in the course of the program. Now, the question of how campaign funds will be generated and distributed among the political parties is also an issue we will be addressing on the program today. The tradition of money politics that has characterized the Nigerian political narrative is a challenge begging for attention. INEC is also on the radar, as we will be reviewing the budget benchmark earmarked by the electoral body for the general elections. Of course, I am not alone, and we will reveal our guests in the coming moments. This is Nigeria Today. I am Dennis Adinloy. Welcome. The program is Nigeria Today, and with me to do justice to the topic is Mr. Shola Adeonju, as Associate Professor and Senior Fellow of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. Cool. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
And also with us is Honorable Dr. Jeff Ojinika, Deputy National Chairman of the Interparty Advisory Council, IPAC. You're welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you, and good evening, Nigerians.
All right. So, well, the political season is hotting up, and it has been alleged that Nigeria spends a lot of money on campaigns and elections generally, given the figures pegged by for the different positions, with the presidential candidates pegged at 5 billion naira, governorship 1 billion, Senate 250 million naira, and House of Reps candidates can spend up to 100 million naira. What is your take? Let's come to you first, Mr. Shola Adeonju. What's your take on these figures?
Well, if it is the issue of figures, from all indications, and I think this has been the position of many other onlookers and practitioners, it is good to peg, but the question is whether these figures that have been pegged are actually practicable or realizable. Considering the fact that the issue of election is a very complex thing, and you tend to say this, let's even look at it from the perspective of you not even bribing anybody or anything. The cost of campaign alone is enormous, and by the time you sectionalize it, you talk about the issue of, if you run a campaign for 1 month, for instance, 30 days, and you have a situation where all sorts of people go with you for campaign. You need to be mobile, you need to carry them along, you need to transport them, feed them, and when you look at it, and then you look at the issue of publicity, particularly if you're going for something higher than House of Assembly, let's say from House of Representatives, senatorial election, you talk about the media coverage. Even when you are not doing live coverage, we know how much this will cost. So if you run this for one month, which makes it a campaign actually, and a campaign means a combination of so many means. So by the time you pull all this together, you see that we have made an attempt to say let's peg it at this, but to me, I think we are just not being realistic.
All right, let me bring in Dr. Jeff Ojinika. What is your take on the election expenses that we witness in the country?
I think it's very important that those figures be fixed, so that we use us as a benchmark for every person engaged in the political process. I bleed in the sense that I contested election in 1996-97 to run as a local government chairman. I knew then that with less than 100,000 or two, You can run an election to the local government council and win. So far as the people on your side, there are very few protocols that you are expected to observe. Then you write letters, you know, informing people, you send flyers to them, you could go door to door, meet people, and at the end of time, if you are somebody they trust, they'll vote for you. And their votes also mattered and counted. In '99, you know, during the beginning point of this present democratic process, I also contested election to the State Assembly. I could tell you the expenditure then was also very, very minimal, in the sense that it was based on the trust that people have. They will say, this person can represent our interest. That's all that you needed to win election at that level. And then also in 2003, I also had the opportunity of running for House of Representatives election. The same kind of scenario also played out itself, that you didn't need to spend so much. But I think this whole process, I could say that this whole process of monetization of the whole process is as a result of the people's expectations. There has been in this situation of people voting people in, and the people will go there, they will betray them. By the time you now come, they will say, we want it up front, so that you give us money. If you go there, if we don't see you again. So it's as a result of betrayers and disappointments of the past. And then also, the whole essence of contesting election is for people to go and render services. So if somebody has to go mortgage the property you have, you sell this or sell that, I don't think it's for service delivery. You know, all these processes started now because people now saw it's almost like a business. Going into political offices now became a business. It's purely mercantile. And that's why people can afford to mortgage whatever thing they say, because they know ultimately what is before them. So I think the whole problem we have, whether we peg it at 1 million and all the issues we have now, is because the whole essence of people going into offices has deviated from what it ought to be.
It should be.
And that is no longer for service of the society, it's for personal service.
All right, Mr. Shola, Dr. Jefferson brought out some critical issues in his opening remarks with regards to issues of betrayal, issues of the masses not trusting the political aspirants. Give us your own take on this issue. How can it be redressed?
Well, I think it's a two-pronged thing.
Yeah.
From one aspect, you have a situation where, as Jeff said, which is very correct, people feel, well, once you are elected, they don't get to see you again. You are not even likely to come back to the community or the constituent to ask them for anything, or they may not even have access to you. So they have the feeling that, well, this is the time for me to collect whatever I can collect. And on the other hand, even from the person that is contesting, you also have the feeling that, well, after the elections, after winning the elections, I still have to be taking care of the people. They come to my door every day. Before you wake up, they are there. They bring their problems and other things like that. So that's why I say it's a two-pronged thing. But just like he said, I think we should start thinking now that this is not in the best interest of our democracy and of the society. Because when you collect money from a politician at the point of voting or at the point of election, it means that you have forfeited your moral right to ask to be represented by that same politician. It's like you have collected your own portion, as they say. But there are a lot of arguments along this line. Say, okay, people are poor, anything you give them, they take. Yes, but at the same time, you want to go and serve. The question is, must you be the one with financial pressure to serve your people? This is where the crux of the matter is, and this is where we're actually missing it. If you want to, just like he said, you go for loan, you mortgage property or assets, or some big godfather somewhere say, okay, I'll bankroll it and things like that. Once that is in it, we're already derailing. And I think the best thing is for us to have a national reorientation. National reorientation for both the politicians and the electorate. Yeah. Okay,
well, speaking on the appropriation of funds, do you think we have the right structure to effect credible disbursements and execution of campaign projects across the board?
Yeah, in terms of projects.
Yeah.
After election, it's a very trickish thing. Trickish in the sense that ordinarily, you are supposed to be fair to everybody. You are supposed to talk about facilities where it is needed, not where you feel it should go. But you see that in reality, what we have is totally different from that. And that is why it is possible for some people to say, look, we work for you for the election. Not that we said you should go and represent us, but with the expectation that certain things will come. And it's so funny to the extent that you now see a situation where somebody who has been elected to go and make laws in the House of Assembly is expected to bring projects to the community. So that's also presupposes why you see some justification like we need community projects, we need to insert this, we need to insert that. If you are elected to go and make laws, it is expected that you should make laws that will make life more bearable and comfortable for your electorate. So, but when it comes to the situation where you have to now come in to talk about distribution of resources and other things like that, a lot of politics we have to go into that. And that is why sometimes you see us locating facilities where they are not needed.
All right. Dr. Jeff, would you say that there is a level playing field among political parties when it comes to these campaigns and the financing of such?
Definitely, the answer is no, in the sense that the parties that are in government seem to have an advantage over parties that are not in government. Someone defined it today as political corruption, in the sense that ordinarily people are not meant to use resources of government in promotion of their campaigns and in the promotion of but as it is, they don't seem to be the borderline between the finances of the government in power and the political party seem to be very blurry. And it seems, because you can rightly say that it has not changed. Because if you see what happened in the previous election in Osho and in Ekiti, also starting from Edo, definitely those funds did not emanate from private purses. Those funds came from government coffers. And we don't also have a mechanism to trace it, but I can say that those funds are not private funds. So, and making it impossible for any party that is not in government to be able to contest, or contest and possibly win.
Okay. Well, your comments are very much noted, and we'll continue our discussions in due course. The program is Nigeria Today. We'll take the program to the streets now as we bring you perspectives of Nigerians on this issue.
Yeah, they spend much money. When I say much money, overspending.
I don't think so, because most of them, they believe that credible and fair election is more better than any other thing. Why some believe that spending money can fetch them the votes.
They spend too much, and we expect them to spend too much because of the level of poverty.
Of course they do. And my reasons, you see, one thing about people, especially when you are desperate, maybe to achieve anything. In most cases, there is always that tendency for you to give out a lot, if not your all, to achieve that which you so much desperate to have. And like the politicians' case, many of them are desperate by nature, and that fact now remains that the fact that they are desperate to get whatever they want to get, they will always like to give out money, especially to see how they can buy votes and buy favor from people, so that maybe at the end of it all, then there will be the one that will emerge in most cases.
Well, that was a cross-section of Nigerians reacting to the issue of political parties and campaign expenditures. I still have with me in the studio Shola Adeonju and Dr. Jeff Ojinika. Clearly from some of those comments, they've alluded to what we've been saying about the desperation of politicians, money politics. So let's just address this issue, this driving issue of money politics. Is it a blessing or a curse, would you say, in this country?
Obviously, it cannot be a blessing. It cannot be a blessing because, one, it means if you don't have the money, you are not even qualified to be there in the first instance. Exactly. And secondly, because it's driving away the bright minds, those who can really make things to happen, those who really have the knowledge. Because as it is, knowledge without money is not even recognized. Assuming that somebody says, I want to contest for senatorial election because I have the ideas, I know how to turn things around, I've acquired the experience over the years. What is the question your political party will ask you in the first instance? How do they say you are a serious candidate or you are an unserious candidate? What differentiates it? It's not really by the knowledge that you are brandishing. It's about saying, what do you have in your bank account? And if we are looking at it from that perspective, people keep saying right people are not coming into politics. Any right people that will go into politics, we have to think twice. For instance, if you have something you are doing, you have to think of, okay, if I leave all this, what will it be for me? If it is just to go and serve, you can say, okay, let me go and serve my people. After that, I go back. But to even get the platform where to do that service, it's becoming monetized. So it's giving it to the highest bidder, as the case is now. So definitely, it's not a blessing. We just must do something about this money politics.
That is certainly taking the country backwards and not forwards where we want to be. Dr. Jeff, how then can we manage this money politics syndrome?
Well, I think it's a societal issue, and one of the first things that I think we need to do is that at the bane of it is the poverty of both the mind and the spirit. As it is today, Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, and a poor person can hardly ever think very well. You will want something to satisfy the immediate needs and desires. I think a time will come when we grow the economy and our GDP is quite very high. People cannot be very, very rational. But having stated that, there can never be a better opportunity for us to improve on that our state of poverty than making sure that the right people are in the right places. Because there is no reason ever in the world for Nigerians to be poor. Because Nigeria as a nation is very rich, but Nigerians are very poor, which is very paradoxical. And the only missing link why Nigeria as a country is very rich, both in material and human resources, but Nigerians are very poor, is the disconnect there is leadership. Okay. And once we get the correct leadership, so I want to plead with Nigerians that let us use this 2019 as an opportunity for us to see whether we can get it right. Let in various places, let people put people of trust, people that they can have confidence in, that can go and represent them. People that if you put money forward, they will say, no, the interest of my people will prevail. In fact, this is the time that we need to define what this public interest will be, what the Nigerian interest will be. We'll define it, and we'll make sure that anybody who doesn't have the interest of Nigerians at heart will not be entrusted with an opportunity to be in a leadership position.
How do we reorientate the average Nigerian or even the poor Nigerian to not take the 1,000 naira notes to purchase a meal and to sell their votes? What needs to be done?
Well, the media is here. You still have to continue with the campaign. We have the National Orientation Agency. We have the civil societies. We have the National Orientation Agency. We have the traditional institutions. We also have the faith-based organizations, the churches, the mosque. They still have to sit up. They still have to do their job. And in fact, we're deteriorating by the day. In 1999, when this process started, it was a lot better. What we have today is unimaginable. And it's not even abetting, because this just concluded primaries and the ripples that are following them, shows that we have not learned anything at all. Rather, instead of improving, we are deteriorating, by the day. So I want to use this opportunity to plead with Nigerians that let's see whether we can use this opportunity to get it right. Let people be voted not because they gave us money, not because they are our neighbors, not because they are our brothers, but because they have the people that we can entrust our lives into, and they can better this nation. Because
the interest of the masses at heart. Yep. All right, let me give the last word to Mr. Shola. What area do you think we need to work on briefly to improve the quality of politics in Nigeria?
I think we need to look at our political party system very closely. At the National Institute, we have a center, Political Parties Leadership and Policy Development Center, where we are looking at this, the base of our democracy is the political parties. Now, you have a situation where the political parties are supposed to be sponsoring candidates for election, but ours is upside down. It is the candidates that are not sponsoring the political parties, and until we get this right, we are not likely to make all this kind of impact that we are talking about. Because even when you are talking about the right candidates coming forward, it's only the candidates that the political parties present to you that you are going to choose from. And the process of leadership recruitment and now political parties to get these people, you cannot say that this can give us the best that we have.
Finally, I forgot to add that any law that you cannot enforce is as good as nothing. If Saul loses his test, it's of no benefit. So if we can't set a mechanism to enforce the implementation of that benchmark, then it's of no need. It will just be there for purposes of theory, but not there in practice. So we have to set a mechanism in process to see that that benchmark, we have a way of tracking it. And anybody that exceeds that benchmark, they say, so person spend, as a result of that, he has, he has gone to jail, or he was disqualified from a position, as the case may be.
All right, well, 3 weeks' time or so, the litmus test will begin, and to test where Nigeria is in its democratic and political journey. I'd like to appreciate Professor Shola Adeonju, Associate Professor and Senior Fellow of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, COUSRE. Thanks for your insights on Nigeria today. And Honorable Dr. Jeff Ojinika, Deputy and National Chairman of the Interparty Advisory Council. Thank you for taking the time to be with us on Nigeria today.
Yeah, thank you, and good evening, Nigerians.
Okay, and we also thank you, our viewers, for your time. And remember, the program airs every weekday, same time on NTA News 24. You can watch this and any other edition online at www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Dennis Adigunloye. Enjoy the rest of your evening.